What? We're already talking about the next silver rally? Yes, indeed we are, and for good reason. I'll explain as we explore. That's right. We have just got out of a big rally where silver spiked up to $54.50 and in a sense scaled back below $50 an ounce. And there could be some more consolidation in the price of silver. I don't rule that out at all, but I don't think we're going to fall too much more from where we're at right now. But I've made a prediction that it is quite possible that we could see silver fall to $40 an ounce. Still think that's a possibility, but I think that's in the short term or maybe in the medium term. But nonetheless, some data that's coming out of India tells a different tale of what could be coming. We just finished one season that is held with strong silver demand, and new numbers that have come out show that there is more demand in India. India is ground zero, I think, for silver, and I know the Chinese market is very important as well, too, but it has not had quite the impact, I think, that India does, because per capita, India is the largest consumer of silver on the planet. So it's pretty amazing. Now, too bad that the folks in India can't buy their metals from summitmetals.com, but nonetheless, that's okay. We can. I think in many ways it's easier for many of us in the West. Of course, there's different markets there than there are here. We like bullion, like what you see here, coins, rounds, and bars. And, Summit Metals has a widening selection of those. So check them out and experience their great customer service for yourself by clicking on the link in the description below. So what's going on with silver? It's a metal that is seemingly becoming a little bit harder to obtain. The new demand is surging in India right now. India's silver imports in 2025 have surged, and it's driven by cheaper import duties, booming investment, green tech demand, and festivals, according to Abhinav Yadav. Has posted the piece here, WIO News. After a sharp drop early in the year, India's silver imports are set to reach 5,500 to 6,000 metric tons by the end of this year in December, which is slightly below 2024's record, but well above the global expectations. September alone saw nearly double the previous month's shipments, and silver spending topped $451 million in August. Now, the spike in silver is, it's a major cut in import duties is one of the big reasons why that has occurred. And actually, we covered that on this channel some time ago. It was from 15% to 6% in 2025, which made silver much cheaper to bring in. This tax cut, combined with depleted old stock and bullish investor sentiment, translated into soaring, fresh orders. Yes, indeed. And it just goes to show you that cutting taxes works. It spurs the economy. It gets things moving again. And I tell you what, we could take lessons from that and many of our state legislatures as well as the Congress. Tax cuts work. Yes, indeed. Now, inflows of silver-backed ETFs in India have tripled in 2025. That's a big deal, and I think that is part of what led to the previous boom. And some of these numbers, we're seeing an increase here with these new data showing that, yes, indeed, there's going to be a big pressure campaign with a demand for silver increasing. Investors are turning to silver as a more affordable alternative to gold, pushing up prices by nearly 49%, even outpacing gold itself in terms of the price. And so investment purchases are driving some of the import momentum. Yes, indeed. So it's not just the festivals. People are wanting to get actually stackable silver. This isn't a stackable silver coin, but nonetheless, you get the idea. Because it is pretty amazing that you can buy silver in so many different various forms, and it's a remarkable metal indeed. Silver is vital for technology. India's green energy push means more silver goes into solar panels, electronics, and electric vehicles. Industry now accounts for around 59% of global silver use, with solar PV alone expected to double demand by 2030. Tech growth in India is directly fueling more silver imports and higher prices. Indeed, it is. Then we have the festival months. And the wedding season always means heavy purchases of silver coins, bars, and jewelry. In 2025, social media hype and regional demand, especially in the south of the country, have amplified this further, triggering silver shortages and even a global market squeeze during Diwali. This festival indeed did play a big role in what we saw with the price shooting up to $54.55. I believe that strongly. It's pretty amazing. And so this is what's happening in India, and it doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down, at least according to some of the prospects and forecasts that'll run through the end of this year. Supply is tight. Even with higher prices, investors are buying and holding, so less scrap is recycled, and jewelers struggle to meet new orders. Global supply stands at 31,000 tons, while demand is at 35,700 tons, a deficit pushing up prices and premiums in the Indian markets. So with prices at 14-year highs now, long-term demand from industry, investment, and festive buyers looks to keep imports high into 2026. Any increase in green energy projects or further market uncertainty could push silver even higher. I do agree with that. There's more sentiment for silver being bullish with all of the fundamentals still firmly rooted and in place that could cause silver prices to increase around the world, let alone what's going on in India right now. And so I think this is quite telling as to what we're seeing, and it quite gives us a good indication of what we're going to be seeing in 2026. It's really fascinating to watch what happens around the world and how different areas of the world can play such a vital role in the world in silver, many different ways, especially seeing investment grade silver buying there in India with ETFs and the like. Of course, I don't like to use that word in investing, because I look at it as a hedge. But when people are looking at gold and they're looking at the gold to silver ratio, and even not looking at the ratio, just looking at the price of gold compared to silver, they're going to be buying more silver. We've seen this the last couple of years in India, as I've reported on this channel. More and more people are buying silver as an alternative to gold because it's so expensive. And, and I tell you, it makes all the sense in the world. And I believe that sooner or later, gold will be continue to hold firm, and its price may rise somewhat. But I think there is a cap on gold, because as central banks continue to acquire the metal, I think that there's only so much more room that it can spike up before silver starts to narrow that ratio. So yes, I do believe that the gold to silver ratio is an indicator, given what's been going on since 2022 with central banks buying gold. And that pressure is going to be on, which means that gold is going to be more stable, and it's going to probably keep climbing. I believe $5,000 an ounce is going to be coming soon. But I also think that silver has more potential here because of all the other drivers that are going to push its price up from multiple different fronts. And the Indian front is one of the biggest, I think, out there with the demand, considering the population of that country and how much more in tune they are with the market in many different ways. So I think that it's going to give us a sign that we are very much on the precipice of maybe seeing that ratio narrow down to below 70. Yeah, I'm going to say it here. I think we very well could see that ratio narrow down to 70. I'm not saying that's going to happen anytime soon, and I'm not even saying that that's going to happen when silver's prices reach $60 an ounce, which I think it would take probably that, or at least that, in order to see it start to move in that direction. But I believe it's a possibility, which means that there may be more room for silver to move to the upside than not, given the circumstances and given what's going on. Because the demand for silver is not letting up, folks. It is quite profound. It is here. And the fundamentals, I think, are strong for the metal. And I believe that it's going to be very exciting to see in 2026. Will we see hiccups in this? Well, of course we will, just like we have been seeing recently. I believe that next silver rally will be fought against in many different areas from natural market forces, notwithstanding any kind of suppression that some people feel is happening. I believe that we're going to see some pushback in the silver market in that regard. And but nonetheless, even with those dips and those consolidation periods, I believe we're going to see higher lows. These higher lows are going to be exciting to see because that means that we're starting to see a firming up of the price, so that the era of $25 silver is long gone. I'm not going to rule it out. I don't rule much of anything out in this market, but I do think that it is a possibility that we will probably not see anything below $30 or probably even below $40 again. Could be wrong in that, but that's just my line of thinking. Yep, I'm bullish on silver, but just because I am does not mean that you should be. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence on having silver as part of your portfolio. You know, I am sponsored by a bullion dealer, but just because that's the case, you know, doesn't mean that my commentary should be discounted, but it also should not be taken for anything more than a grain of salt, because I could be wrong, we could all be wrong, and but nonetheless, I believe holding the silver is the most powerful thing that we can do to protect against the loss of the value of the dollar. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.